Hello, welcome to the Inside the Birds weekly NFL preview. I'm Geoff Mosher. Hope everybody's doing well as we enter week 3 of the NFL season. Sure hope you're all doing better than NFL quarterbacks, because as we enter week 3, I mean, this feels like mid-October already with all the injuries at the quarterback position. Joe Burrow, out. J.J. McCarthy, out. Justin Fields, out. Jaden Daniels, out. Brock Purdy out. I mean, what is that? 5, 6 of the NFL starting quarterbacks already on the shelf with injuries. It doesn't sound so bad for Daniels. He'll obviously get replaced by Mariota for the Commanders. They're playing the Raiders. But Joe Burrow's loss is huge. I mean, he's going to be out for, they're saying 3 months. Maybe he comes back for the last few weeks of the season. Now you have to have Jake Browning holding the fort down for the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is bad for, obviously, Burrow. He's hurt a lot. Bad for the Bengals. They had high expectations. They're off to a 2-0 start. Bad for the league. I think the Bengals are going to be in prime time a couple of times. And instead of getting these great matchups of Burrow, who's a star? Burrow is a star. He's an undeniable, no doubt about it, star. He's a guy that people like to watch. They like the way he plays the game. Winner back at LSU, went to a Super Bowl early in his career. He's catchy. And for a Bengals team that does have catchy names, but, it's a smaller market, the league likes having Joe Burrow out there in prime time. And now, unfortunately, for the league, for the viewers, for the Bengals especially, for Joe, he's going to be on the shelf for quite a bit. And we'll have to see if the Bengals can survive without him. The Bengals, they've been so deficient defensively for the last 2 years that they've needed Burrow to be a Superman and throw the ball all over the place and score a lot of points. When they won all those games at the end of last year, they were outscoring teams. They weren't playing better defense. They were just winning the offensive battle week after week. And you really got to have a special quarterback to be able to do that. And we'll see. I know Jake Browning has had some success, but I think Zach Taylor, their head coach, who I think is a pretty good head coach, I think he's going to have to do things differently, maybe rely on the ground game more, maybe move the chains differently, ball control, try to keep his defense off the field, but also move the ball and score points. So that'll be the challenge for the Bengals. No challenge right now for the Bills. They're 3-0. Granted, they haven't really played other than that first game against the Ravens when they opened up the season and had the great comeback. They had 2 gifts against the Jets and the Dolphins in back-to-back weeks. But, short week, beat the Jets. Dolphins did make it close. I was expecting a Dolphins team after the first 2 weeks. You heard me talk about it last week. If the Dolphins, I felt if they didn't show up this week, then they're in trouble, and they are in trouble. They lost. They did show up, but they're 0-3, and it's going to be pretty tough for them this year, already off to an 0-3 start. They are just painful to watch. I mean, their offense 2 years ago was really nice. I mean, you had Tyreek Hill playing at a high level, Jalen Waddle playing at a high level. The rookie, Devon Achane, came in, gave him a nice little dimension. They were a fun offense to watch. They had a lot of injuries on defense, and then last year they had injuries everywhere, offense, defense. Hill didn't have a good year, and already this year, they score 8 points in the opener. They get down 12-0. I thought last week in their Sunday game against the Patriots, week 2, I thought that South Florida Heat against the New England team would give them an advantage. They were down 12-0. They had to come back from that, and then they blew it anyway and lost at home, 33-27. Then they obviously have short rest. They give it their best against the Bills. Their best is not nearly good enough. Now they're 0-3 with a third straight. You very rarely see this early in the season, but they have the Jets next game. They got a long rest for it, but they're going from Patriots to Bills to Jets. If they don't win that game, because they have the Jets Panthers, all right? If the Dolphins want to salvage their season at all, it's over the next 4 weeks. Jets, Panthers, then they got to go play the Chargers, but at least it's at home, and then Browns, okay? If you can't go 3-1 in that stretch, and at that point that would leave you at 3-4, and at least in it and viable, It's not like they have a very tough schedule. They got some teams that are beatable, but you're 0-3 right now. You can't beat anybody. Your offense stinks. Your offensive line stinks. Your pass rush stinks. Your defense stinks. Okay? So Mike McDaniel, I'm sure you've been warned. You got an impatient owner. He liked what you did 2 years ago. Last year stunk, and now you're off the 0-3 start. Time to turn it around, or else you're not going to see week 7 or week 8. I haven't checked any of the odds, but I'm sure the sports books that put out the prop bets and who's likeliest to be fired first, I would have to think Mike McDaniel is now the leader in that clubhouse to get fired first. But he has a chance to turn it around. We'll see what they can do. All right, let's talk about the 1 o'clock games. You got Green Bay at Cleveland, 1 o'clock. The Packers are 7.5 point favorites on the road. The Packers look legit. I mean, they look as good as you can look after 2 weeks. This will be their first game away from Lambeau. Love is playing well. Now, they did lose Jaden Reed. He's going to be out for a long time, probably a year. He had to have 2 different surgeries. But they've got Golden. Kraft is a little banged up. We'll see if he plays. If he plays, he is a huge dimension to their offense. He reminds me a little bit of Dallas Goedert, where he doesn't have consistently these big games, but when he does, they're so important. Plays off contact well. He's a really good tight end. And, they run the ball. They spread the ball around. There are times where he is, like last week, their top target. And when he is their top target, he's tough to stop. He's a really, really good tight end, and he just gives them just another extra dimension. I mean, that game was close for the Commanders in score, 27-18, but in reality, they dominated that game. And Kraft is a really good player, 6 for 124 and a touchdown. And we'll just see how they make up for Jaden Reed. They spread it around. You got Dubs, you got the other tight end, Musgrave. We'll see. Matthew Golden hasn't really been involved in the offense yet. He's a rookie. Give him time. I think it'll happen. And lucky for them, they get to play a Browns team that isn't very good. Doesn't have much to look forward to. They just got stomped by the Ravens, as you would expect. I thought maybe they would, give them a game because it's an AFC South game. Gabriel did come in for a little bit there at the end, completed all 3 of his passes. Is it only a matter of time before Dylan Gabriel becomes the quarterback? Probably. It is probably only a matter of time. Quinshon Judkins had I guess, his first game, looked pretty good. He only had 10 carries. I mean, the Browns offense right now is what it is. It's not great. Their O-line's not great. They're getting some good production from some guys like Harold Fannin Jr., their tight end, rookie tight end. Means they'll probably wind up trading David Njoku at some point, especially as they continue to get out of it. But the Browns are just not a team that you can count on for giving you any kind of consistency. So you got to like Green Bay going in, even with the big number there at 7.5. Colts at Titans. I feel bad for the Titans. They're playing better. Their schedule has done them no favors. They had to start the year against the Broncos in Denver. And then they had to go play a very good Rams team. And then the Eagles fans will get to see that Rams team up front. And now, week 3, you got to play an Indianapolis Colts team that is unexpectedly 2-0 and really doing it behind Daniel Jones and the running game. Daniel Jones is the story of the Colts because they've scored 62 points in their first 2 weeks, and they really put a lot of points on Denver. Now, they won that game. Denver gave them that game. There was a stupid penalty on a really long kick that made it a much closer kick. But hey, they capitalized. They won the game. They're 2-0. They beat Miami, absolutely sandbagged Miami. And everybody thought, well, that's just Miami. Well, and you beat the Denver Broncos. Okay, well, now you go on the road and you play the Titans. And the Titans are improved. They're hanging in there. They're fighting. But I don't think that they're going to be right now. They got some offensive line issues. Their left tackle has been hurt. Cam Ward does some nice things, but there's just no consistency right now with Tennessee. They play decent defense. Okay defense. They give up 33 to the Rams, only 20 to the Broncos. But this is their chance to sort of make their move, I guess, to show that they have growth. You have a Colts team coming in there. It's their first AFC Central game. And let's see what they can do. But the Colts are on fire. Right now, it's all about not only Daniel Jones, but it's about their running game. Taylor has been fantastic through 2 weeks. Jones is doing a good job getting the ball to Tyler Warren. I know Warren, we'll see how he is. He was dealing with a toe injury throughout the weeks. Those things can be nagging. They can be pesky. They can put guys out for a little bit. If it's turf toe, I don't know what it is, but toe injuries are kind of difficult. But you've seen Daniel Jones spread the ball to Pittman, to Downs. He's doing a nice job. I mean, Shane Steichen is showing you that he is still a very good play caller. He can still call plays. And when he has a quarterback who can just execute the basics for him, which is what Daniel Jones is doing, and a little more. But really, the point is that Steichen just needs somebody who can run the offense the right way. They can do some things. And if they win this game, it's going to be really big for the Colts. They'll be 3-0, obviously, and they'll start to generate more buzz. And then they'll have some games coming up. Then they'll have the Rams after that. But again, after that, Raiders, Cardinals. I mean, could they be 5-1 going into Week 7 against the Chargers? Yeah, they could be if they continue this up. But we got to see them over a longer period of time. But right now, my takeaways are Daniel Jones playing well. Shane Steichen's offense, though, is what's really coming alive. And Jonathan Taylor within it is still an elite back in the NFL.
Hey, you know that one guy in the group chat who hit a 5-leg parlay week 1 and he wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the season? Sounds like Kaplan, right? Yeah, it could be him. It could be you. And we would all want to be you. MyBookie makes it stupid easy to get in on the action, whether it's college ball, NFL, super contest, and survivor pools, all the spreads, player props, and in-game lines that you could want all under one roof. What more could you want than that? If you're new to MyBookie, use our code, THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, the birds. Use the code, and any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. There is no better time to jump in right now. No better place to play. Football is back. Let's make some money with MyBookie.
All right, well, now we got Bengals, Vikings in Minnesota. The Vikings are actually favored to win the game, I guess because the Bengals lost Burrow and they're on Jake Browning, but it's not any better for the Vikings. The Vikings are struggling offensively anyway. Outside of one quarter of football, the Vikings have not played very good behind J.J. McCarthy, and now they're turning the ball over to Carson Wentz, who sets some kind of crazy quarterback record for starting for a 6 different team in 6 years. You know, he started his last year was 2020 with the Eagles. Then he went to the Colts in 2021, had a better year than people want to acknowledge that year, but he collapsed at the end and the Colts didn't make the playoffs. And then we all know he went to Washington the next year, was not very good, got hurt, lost his job. And then for Carson Wentz, from that point on, it's backup city and different stops along the way. I think his 4th year was after the Eagles was the Rams. He was there for under McVay, and then last year with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he made one start with them in that meaningless season finale. And now he's with Kevin O'Connell in the Vikings, and O'Connell is known for being a guy who is a quarterback guru. You can't say it's not working with McCarthy. I mean, McCarthy was hurt all last year, so it's not like you had a whole lot of time to groom him up on the field. And then, of course, this year you only get OTAs and training camp, and this injury happens early. I'm not gonna look at JJ McCarthy's early struggles and say O'Connell is not the guru that we think he is. But I tell you, this is somewhat of a red flag for me on Carson Wentz. All right, the last 2 years, I just said he spent with L.A. Rams under McVay and the Chiefs with Andy Reid. All right. Those are 2 excellent offensive mind, 2 guys known for bringing out the best in quarterbacks, and neither team wanted him back as their backup. It's important to have a backup quarterback in this league. Why did the Commanders want Mariota back? Because he knows the system. He played well last year. You want a guy who's been in your system and knows your offense, right? Especially when you're trying to compete. Why did the Eagles get rid of Kenny Pickett and promote Tanner McKee? This is his 3rd year. They felt that he was ready to be a backup. He played well last year when he got in. It's important. You like teams. Jake Browning, we'll see this with the Bengals. The Bengals are probably feeling a little bit more confident than ordinarily because Browning has played with them, has been with them. This is, I believe, is his third year with them, even though he was a journeyman before that. Has shown some decent things. I think he completed 70% of his passes 2 years ago when he had to play 7 games. So it concerns me that two guys who had Carson Wentz in their system, who are known for being quarterback gurus, if you want to call it that, decided that they didn't want Carson Wentz to be their backup. But we'll see. He'll be in Minnesota. Listen, we know he likes to throw the deep ball. He's got Jefferson, got Addison. Hawkinson is off to a kind of a rough start. The offensive line's beat up, though. And the one thing we know about Carson Wentz is if he's under siege, he's not going to get out of the pass rush anymore. He's going to make some bad throws, going to make some rush throws. It'll be very interesting to see how Kevin O'Connell manages this game. And if he tries to shift into a ground game, but guess what? Aaron Jones is out with an injury. Darisaw, the left tackle, all beat up. So even if he wants to be able to be more of a run play action team, will he be able to do it? I guess, against the Bengals defense, he'll probably have an easier time than as opposed to if he was playing maybe the Lions or the Packers defense. So I suspect O'Connell will try to do that. It'll be Jordan Mason time, of course, in Minnesota. They acquired him for a reason. They've been playing him a lot anyway, and now he's going to get the majority of the carries. And with the Bengals, you just got to see. Browning has plenty of weapons. He doesn't have the arm that Burrow has. He can make accurate passes. I think that Zach Taylor will try to do the same thing, maybe lean a little more on that run game with Chase Brown, the short passing game, and then every once in a while try to open it up and hit Higgins or Chase downfield. The offense is going to look different. There's no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to be worse per se. All right, Steelers at New England. The Steelers are 1.5 point favorites on the road, despite the fact that they have looked downright terrible defensively and not great offensively, but really, especially their running game. I mean, they beat the Jets 34-32. Aaron Rodgers looked good, everything. Hey, maybe the Steelers are flying high. Then they come home where they are a very tough team to beat, and they just look terrible, losing 31-17 to the Seahawks. And here's the thing about the Steelers right now. They have no run game. Their defense has allowed 30 points or more in the last 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of the season. When is the last time you talked about the Steelers and said their defense stinks and they have no run game? It's been a long time. So I don't know that you should give them the benefit of the doubt. I do think that they usually figure out ways. Mike Tomlin is good at figuring out ways to correct his issues fairly quickly. So I would expect that they'll go to New England. I'm not counting them out. New England is obviously not a great team in itself. They're 1-1. Their only win came from the Dolphins, and they almost blew that. So this will be an interesting game, but I'm just shocked at the Steelers not being a good defensive team and have no running game. I know that their running game, when you look at the personnel, isn't very good because you're seeing Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. They drafted a kid 3rd round, Caleb Johnson. He's perfect for their scheme, but he's not getting on the field, so he's not doing something right for the coaches to believe he belongs on the field. And so that's forced them to be one-dimensional offensively, and this is not the year of Aaron Rodgers where you want him throwing the ball 40 times a game. You want to be able to run. You want to limit how many times Aaron Rodgers has to. He can still throw. He's fine in that regard, but you don't want him to throw 40 times a game. You want to manage the game. They were just awful against Seattle, and he threw the ball 33 times, 2 interceptions. That's too much at this stage of his career. As for the Patriots, they're not playing well, but I know that some of their Milton Williams played well for them. Eagles fans know all about how good Milton Williams is. He's playing well for them. They got to figure it out. It's going to take Vrabel a little bit because he has so many new players. Drake May is going to be inconsistent. This would be a really nice win at home if the Patriots can pull this off. Rams, Eagles, 1:00 at the Link. We'll cover that on Inside the Birds pregame show. Myself, Adam Kaplan, Greg Cosell will break it down. I think it's a great matchup. Two teams that have very good defenses. The Rams offense is playing better than the Eagles offense right now, but the Eagles keep winning. So, and we all know what the Eagles running game did to the Rams rush defense last year twice. Saquon Barkley is still haunting Sean McVay and Chris Shula in their dreams, I'm sure. Jets at Bucks. Now, this is a game that, I mean, you got Fields not playing for the Jets. He's out. And so they got Tyrod Taylor, who's, listen, if you're going to have a backup, let it be Tyrod Taylor. He can run your offense. He's fine. That's not the issue. The issue is that Justin Fields brings a running element, and they're trying to play, you would think, a ground and pound game with Breece Hall, with Braylon Allen, with Fields running the ball. And it's a little different with Tyrod Taylor back there. But hey, Tyrod Taylor's respectable. And on the other side, Baker Mayfield, credit him. He hasn't had great stats like last year, but they are 2-0, and they are about as beat up can be. I'm just surprised at all the injuries that we have seen. I mean, they started off with injuries because they didn't have Wirfs, their left tackle. They haven't had Godwin yet. I mean, those guys, they're waiting for those guys to come back. But now they have more offensive line injuries. I mean, they're really banged up on the O-line, and they lost a defensive tackle, Kalijah Kancey, a really good player, first-round pick for them, or I think it was a first-round pick, a couple of years ago. But, hey, they've beaten the Falcons. They've beaten the Texans just barely. I mean, they are skating by. They're averaging like 21, 22 points a game in their first 2 weeks, but they're only giving up about 19 and a half. So they've played really good defense, and they should be able to beat this Jets team at home, especially with the Jets being undermanned. It won't be easy. Honestly, I don't think this is I think because of the injury situation and the Bucs not being at full strength, that they're going to struggle a little bit to move the ball, but they should be all right. They should come out with a win. And I told you in the week 1 show that they had a rookie that I really liked, who I thought would make an immediate impact, and he already has with 3 touchdowns. Emeka Egbuka has been great. Obviously, their running back from last year has picked up where he left off. So Irving. So Mayfield just has to keep steadying the ship and weathering the storm until his offensive line gets healthy. 1 o'clock game in Landover, Maryland. Washington will host the Raiders for the second time in 3 weeks. The Raiders have to fly to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. Now, I know you've heard me say that the statistics on that aren't what they used to be, that West Coast teams travel to the East Coast and win games much more commonly than they did a long time ago for 1 o'clock games. But this is a little different. This is 2 times in 3 weeks. I mean, and with the Chargers at home sandwiched in between, and that was a tough loss for them. They did beat the Patriots 2013, and now they face a Commanders team that's not going to have Jaden Daniels. It'll be Marcus Mariota. And to me, the bigger loss, though, for the Commanders in the long haul is losing Eckler. When he went down with the Achilles, which you could see it immediately, non-contact injury, lost his footing, couldn't get up, had to be helped off. You knew it was an Achilles right away. And I think it's fair to wonder if he'll ever be able to play again. But with with the Commanders' offense being what it is, which I've said for a couple of weeks now, I like this team, but they really lack explosive playmakers. All right. Is Austin Eckler an explosive playmaker? No, but he's a running back who can do multiple things. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He's good in space, good hands. He can pass pro, blitz pickup, all that. That's a big loss for them. I just think that they have to rely too much on Jaden Daniels for offense. McLaurin's good. I'm not saying anything about McLaurin. He's good. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's a good player. Debo's okay. He adds dimension, but they don't have anything fearful now in their run game. We'll see how their rookie that they really like, Bill Krosky-Merritt, comes along. He's going to be a guy that's going to have to play a bigger role. Maybe they can get Debo and McLaurin the ball a little more, even though Mariota is a quarterback today. I just think that they're missing a little bit offensively, but against this Vegas team that is just not, obviously Genti hasn't had the start that I think a lot of people thought, myself included, he would have. Geno can be very good sometimes. He can be okay other times. I like Geno, but he's working with limited options here. And the Raiders just have not yet found their stride. They were outclassed pretty big time against the Chargers, and now they got to fly east again. So the Commanders 2.5 point favorites there. All right, Atlanta at Carolina, 1 o'clock. Carolina is just Man, they are a mystery to me. They do not look good. They are getting nothing. I mean, nothing from their first round pick 2 years ago in Xavier Legette. I mean, he has just been a colossal disappointment. They have some injuries up front. They lost their guard, Robert Hunt, good player, Pro Bowl guard, I think. So they already got injuries on the O-line. They don't have Bryce Young playing well. They don't have anybody offensively that can do anything other than Tatora McMillan, who is a volume receiver, and they're going to give him 8, 9, 10 balls a game, and that's fine. He'll get his yards. But who else is giving you anything? No one. And so to me, I don't care that they're home. Atlanta is 5.5 point favorites over the Falcons. I'm sorry, over the Panthers, and Atlanta is the road team, and they're 1-1. The only team Atlanta's beaten is Minnesota, who doesn't look like a very good team. But I don't blame the odds makers. I think the Falcons will win this game probably pretty easily, and the Falcons got a pass rush last game, folks. That was important. I think they had 6 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, which they didn't have any that I can recall in the first game. But in the second game, the defense got going. I'll tell you in a second how many sacks they had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 sacks. So that's a really big number for them. And that's the one element to the Falcons defense that they have been missing. If they can continue to get sacks and if they can put pressure on Bryce Young, which they should be able to do, then they'll look good and they'll win. Houston at Jacksonville, another 1:00 game. Jacksonville is 1.5 point favorites. Houston's been a big disappointment for me. If you heard me talk about them, I really love their defense, and I just thought they would be better offensively. Now, they've got a lot of issues in their offensive line and run game. Again, I just can't believe this early in the season how much injuries are impacting a team. And the Texans had to redesign their offensive line because they've had some injuries there. It was already an offensive line they were trying to remake from last year. They traded Tunsil. They drafted Ursery, did a few things. They brought Nick Chubb in to run the ball. Mixon, it may not play again this year, so they had to go get Chubb, and they draft Woody Marks. I'm sure they'll get him more involved, but their offense is pathetic right now. The 2 receivers they drafted have not been able to get involved. They scored 28 points in 2 games. Granted, they faced some good teams in the Rams and Bucks, but if they don't get it going against this Jags team that I don't think has been impressive at all through 2 weeks, they're in trouble. You can't go lose this game, fall to 0-3, and lose to Jacksonville, an AFC Central team, fall behind there. They are better than the Jaguars, but they're not playing very good, and neither are the Jaguars. Although I'm sure at 1-1 they feel good, or they feel all right. They beat the Panthers, lost to the Bengals. Their schedule is a little interesting because after the Texans, they get the Niners, then the Chiefs, and the Seahawks and the Rams. So if the Jaguars want to have a good year, they've got to win games that are winnable. And right now, Houston is vulnerable, but Houston is the better team. The Jags offense, not very good. I just think that as down as I am right now on Houston, I was high on them going into the year. I think with offensive line, you need continuity. You got to get your quarterback comfortable. I still think Stroud can fling it as well as anybody in the league. Just got to be protected. He and Nico finally connected last week. One of these days they're going to have a breakout game. Maybe it'll be this week against the Jags. All right, let's get to the 4:00 games. Sports are all about competition. Every snap, every possession, every clutch moment matters. That same energy is what 1v1 Me brings to video games. Every single day, you can watch and stake on matchups in Madden, NBA 2K, FC,